Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, welcome. It is day 9 of the $1 Million Baby Plan series. Give it up for your girl for staying true to this on this 21-day live challenge. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Come on in, tap in, tap in. I'm a couple minutes early because I want to get off early. Thank you all for tuning in. Let me adjust my desk here. I should have did this while on my walking pad, but I'm live now, so it's okay. Thank you all for tuning in to day 9 of the $1 Million Baby Plan. Today we are going to discuss what does cash value really mean when it comes to a $1 Million Baby Plan or even a plan for yourself. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for tuning in. It is day 9 of the $1 Million Baby Plan series. I am LC, the owner of LC Financial Solutions, where we specialize in helping our clients maximize their wealth, minimize their taxes, and master their legacy. And so on tonight's live, we are going to talk about cash value, one of my favorite topics when it comes to either $1 Million Baby Plan or even an adult plan, right? Even when it comes to creating their own new money, because who doesn't want own new money, right? And so tonight's topic again, as I said, is going to be cash value. And so we are talking about the most, in my opinion, the most misunderstood term in the insurance world. Because when people hear cash value, oh, that was so St. Louis her. But when people hear cash value and you have a life insurance policy that can build cash value, people automatically think, so wait, is this a savings account? Is it free money? Can I pull it out whenever? And honestly, social media really has, made this really confusing because it's, of course, it's 1,000,001 people talking about what type of plans to get, how to, become your own bank, how to use that cash value. So tonight, I am going to break it down in a simple way. Thanks for joining. Come on in, come on in. I see people tuning in. Tonight we are talking about cash value and how it works in a policy, not just the $1 Million Baby Plan. So first things first, cash value is not the same as a regular savings account. Cash value is money that may build over time instead of certain types of permanent policies, right? And so let me repeat that again. Cash value is money that may build over time inside of certain types of permanent life insurance policies. And the key word is some policies, because not every policy builds a cash value, which you must know. Um, and the amount depends on things as far as when it comes to building your cash value, the type of policy you've had, how long you've been active, the premium structure, and the overall policy performance, because there are different policies in place when it comes to building cash value. Even some policies build like a dividend that you receive, which is great as well. And so again, this is not a okay, I'm gonna put $20 in every month and then magically next year, I'm gonna be rich. Like that's not really how it works. But if you do have that $20 to invest, then it does start to build cash value over time. And so a lot of people want to know, of course, how cash value builds. So one thing people always ask, how does it build? Where are you getting the money from? And how does it work? So a portion of the premium is paid into certain permanent policies that may go towards the cost of insurance, fees, the cash value portion of the policy. And then over time, that cash value may continue to build depending on, again, the policy structure, the performance, and how the policy is funded. As I mentioned before, some policies may have a dividend, some may have a cash value. And so when we get into a cash value, I don't want to go too deep, but without going too deep, it's ways, depending on how your policy is structured, that you make an interest kind of off of the funds without actually going too deep, depending on if you have a whole life or an IUL. IULs and Index Universal Life, which is the same difference as a whole policy because it's both permanent coverage. So if you lock into a whole life policy, the premium that you pay today will be the premium that you pay for the rest of your life, which honestly can save you a lot of time and a lot of money because you may want a policy that is worth maybe $300,000 and you may get a $300,000 policy. You may pay, I'm not sure, depending on your age and your health, you can pay anywhere between, I would say, $70 to $200. That's just depending on age and health. But for an example, if you were to able to get a $300,000 policy for about $120 a month, you will continue to pay that same $120 every month for the rest of your life versus you obtaining a $300,000 policy and you're like 50 or 60, then the premium is definitely going to skyrocket at that point. And so, as I mentioned, when it comes to cash value, it's just a portion of your money that's being invested with no market loss. And so that's how it builds cash value. And at this point, this is where people's minds starts to open up because many people never knew life insurance potentially could be used for more than just money when somebody passes away. And a lot of times that's why people don't really have life insurance because they feel like, oh, well, you only need it when you pass away. Like, no, the rich actually uses as a tax wealth strategy to actually get rich to invest in their dreams, in their children's dream, and so forth. And so, speaking of the tax free side of it, and so people really get curious about this because they're like, okay, well, how are you, gaining cash value? You don't have to pay any taxes on it. And as I mentioned before, depending on how your policy is structured and used, the cash value may be potentially accessed as a tax free through policy loans. And so you are going to borrow the money. And when you borrow the money, it's tax free versus maybe you pull money out of your 401k. If you take money from there, then, there's a penalty for that, but you can borrow instead of actually withdrawing the fund. And so, of course, policies again must be properly structured. There are rules, and again, this is not financial or tax advice for everybody because again, everybody tax situation is different, and everybody financial situation is different. So I don't want anybody to take this as actual tax advice. If you actually want advice, you need to book an appointment so we can see how the policies are structured specifically for you and your financial needs. But again, this is why some people use certain policies as a part of a wealth building strategy, retirement conversations, business planning, legacy planning. I have a client, which I'm so freaking excited about. I have a client who is taking a cash value building policy and they want to invest into real estate. So, a lot of people want to get into real estate. And so my client, within the next 10 years, he will have over six figures in his policy that can build cash value or will be building cash value that he can borrow from to actually start investing into real estate. Now, he doesn't have to wait the 10 years, but of course, the longer that you wait and the more cash value you build, the higher the value of the policy will be. Hey DJ, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. I am discussing tonight cash value and how cash value is beneficial for not only life insurance but for your family while you're alive, and you can use that cash value with the permanent policy that you have and use that to finance again your life investments, retirement, business planning, legacy planning, or anything like that. Even uses money for sports. Summertime is coming up, and so if you invested into one of these $1 million baby plans for you or your children, you would be able to go ahead and start investing now. And then next year, hey, you can probably take out some money for, the sports gear and, everything that you need when your child joins sports. My kids aren't in sports yet. So I'm not sure how much, all that costs, but when they are ready to, if I wanted to use that cash value that I have built up in their policies, that's what I could do with that money instead of reaching into my own finances. And so a lot of people have insurance, right? Mainly through their job. I love that people have life insurance with their job because it's covered. You pay, little to nothing for the coverage. But a lot of times people can't even tell you how the life insurance worked through their job or even what type of policy it is. If it builds cash value, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. What happens, if you leave that job, right? Or how the policy actually works. And so, if you are following me on Facebook, I made a post maybe about 2 hours ago talking about, having insurance through your job, which is great. But guess what? It's not building cash value. So, a lot of times people are at their job 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and you have this one life insurance policy. Guess what? If you leave that job, that policy doesn't come with you. So that means if you want to get a policy outside of your job, now you might have started your job when you was 20. Now you 40 and you're trying to get life insurance, that premium is going to be way more expensive at 40 than it would have been versus at the age of 20. And again, you would have been building cash value. A lot of employers do not offer permanent policies. It's typically they have term policies. And so basically, term is either 10, 20, or a 30-year policy. The company typically pays for it, and you may pay $1 or $2 a month, just depending on what type of policy it is, if it's over $50,000. But I digress on that end. But when it comes to having, again, that cash value, hey, Terry, yeah, right, that is dope. Because, again, you can use this cash value and borrow it and use it for whatever. If you are a homeowner, right, and something may come up at your home, your water heater go out, you need a new floor, new dishwasher, whatever. If you have enough money in your policy, you can borrow that money, right? And then it just subtracts overall from the entire benefit. I don't want to dive too deep into that because then that's like a whole different conversation. But if you're interested about learning more about cash value, go ahead and slide in my DM and I can get you set up and show you some different policies and show you an illustration of what that would look like. And so when I see people always say, "Oh yeah, I have insurance through my job." And I see people when I do people taxes and I see that they paying for, the couple dollars to their life insurance, I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. You have it through your job. But that's not really a plan for you, right? That's really a tax write-off for the company. That's not benefiting you in any way. So if you're at a job for heck, even 5 years, and you have a policy through them, guess what? That's 5 years of not building cash value. That's 5 years of money that you could have been building, which I'm pretty sure is could have possibly been more than you have now, right? Some people might say, oh, okay, well, 5,000 in 5 years, that's not a lot. Like, okay, do you have 5,000 right now? The answer is probably no. So it might not seem like, if it take you 5 years to build $5,000, that's fine. But how long have it took you to build $5,000 without having a cash value policy? Do you have $5,000 already in a savings account, in an emergency fund, right? And of course, when we talk about even savings, you don't have one savings account for your entire life. You need emergency fund, right? You need money over here for vacation. All of that can't be the same type of savings account. But if you have multiple kids, you can have multiple $1 million baby policies and you can have multiple cash value access. Come on now, make it click. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down. And again, as I mentioned, this is how the rich invest because they will get these premiums or get these policies that cover a lot, right? I had a client who got their child $1 million worth of coverage. And it didn't even cost a lot. $1 million worth of coverage. So if something happens to that child, guess what? The mom gets $1 million, of course, for the death benefit. But just imagine how that cash value is growing over time, year after year after year, when you are investing into one of these cash value policies. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. But again, cash value policies is really where it's at. Not only again, you can borrow the money and obtain it for tax free. You basically have a two for one. You can have life insurance and you building cash value. You using that same money that you're putting into your life insurance to build cash value. And typically depending on the carrier that you obtain through LC, the APR rate or the interest rate, yearly interest rate, is typically higher than a savings account. If you have a savings account through your bank right now, you should already know you get cents on the dollar for your money that is just sitting there, right? And so just imagine if you took some of that money that was just sitting there and invested into a whole life policy slash permanent policy, which is the same difference, but it build cash value over time. And so again, like I said, it might take you 5 years to build $5,000 in a cash value policy, depending on your budget. But can you save $5,000 on your own? And if you could, then that's great, because then now go ahead and still get a cash value policy. Now you can have $10,000, right? If you can save 5,000 on your own within 5 years, plus have an insurance permanent policy that builds cash value. Now in 5 years, instead of having 5,000, now you have 10,000. And so then who knows, your car might break down, right? You might have a mortgage, so something might happen in your home. Your kids might want to play sports, go to the championship. Now you need money for this, that, and a third. And you're like, dang, I really don't want to go into my finances to get that. Go into your cash value policy. That is what that is for. I love cash value policies. I love term policies as well. Not typically, children under 18 cannot get a term policy. They should have a whole life policy, because again, if your child, again, under 18, you can get a nice amount of coverage for a low premium, and again, that protects them through their entire life. I have a client who child has health issues, and right now it's a little difficult to get them covered because of the health issues that they have. And it actually just started happening maybe within like a year or two. He didn't have these health issues before. And so now us trying to get him a policy is a little harder than normal, because we have to go through the underwriting process. And so this is why I preach, get health insurance. I'm sorry, get life insurance, health insurance too if you don't have that. But get life insurance for your children now. Get it for you now. If you are healthy, you went to the doctor, everything looks good, go ahead and get a policy now, because next time it might not be good. Next time you might have high blood pressure. You might be close to having type 2 diabetes or anything like that. You don't want that when it comes to underwriting. You don't want that in your record, because when you are applying for life insurance, some policies you can get approved for right then there on the spot, but sometimes it does have to go through underwriting. And so once it goes through the underwriting process, then basically we have to pull your medical records. Well, not me, the carrier will pull your medical records to review everything in underwriting, and then determine, okay, whatever premium that I quoted you for is the same premium that you can get based off your rating and how you fall on the health chart. Sometimes, the policies can vary too, depending on your weight. And so not only are you have to think about your age and how much you're going to pay for the policy, you also have to think about your weight as well. So if you are healthy, if you are in a good state in health right now, you need to obtain a life insurance policy, because everything is increasing, right? Gas, with $6 a gallon. I don't even want to let my gas go down one notch, because goodness gracious, I got a 4 cylinder. It's no way it take about $50. I remember I could fill my little tank up with $20. Now it's doubling. And that's the same thing, just like life insurance. It's going to double as inflation starts to grow. And so right now, you definitely want to lock in, obtain that cash value against, because this is money that you can use tax free. This is money you might lose your job depending on the type of policy you got and how much you actually investing into your policy per month. You might lose your job down the line, but guess what? You might be able to look at that cash value life insurance policy you got and say, you know what? I got $16,000 in this cash value policy. Let me go ahead and take this out or borrow, right? Because we're not withdrawing, we're going to borrow. Let me go ahead and borrow this and take care of my finances until I get another job. So, again, that could help as well. We are in an economy of where people are losing their jobs. You never know when you're going to lose a job, when something is going to happen. God forbid I lose mine. But y'all already know how I move, baby. I'm gonna make it a lot of 15 cents. And so again, when it comes to cash value, you are building a life insurance savings account, right? Which is still different from your personal savings account, because it's building more over time. And so I've been on here for about what 20 minutes, I think. Y'all know I don't talk too long, baby. I'm just coming to get y'all a tea and I'm gonna dip out. But before we leave, tonight's question is: before this live, did you know some life insurance policies may build cash value over time, or is this your first time hearing about cash value? If you want to know more about cash value, how it works, if you want to see an illustration, that's the good thing. I have multiple carriers, and so I'm able to show you multiple illustrations of how your money can grow over time, so you can actually see something, have something tangible, because of course once you write it down, it's real. And so go ahead, lock in. Oh, excuse me. Go ahead, send me a DM, baby. If you want to learn more, I can go ahead and get you on a calendar. As y'all already know, it's still tax season for me. So I'm not going to stay on here long. But if you want more information about a cash value policy, your child coverage, or just even learning about your options just to see a visual of what it looks like, go ahead and slide in my DM. I even have a savings calculator that I can show you all to see how much money that you need to save monthly to retire at your retirement goal. When I retire, I want to have at least 2.5 million in my retirement account. So I do have a set number that I need to be saving monthly for that. Will I ever retire? I don't know. I'm a Capricorn. We like to work. So, but when I turn 65, I do want to have at least $2.5 million in my retirement altogether. Because again, if you don't have a retirement plan, then you're relying on what? Social Security benefits. And y'all already see how the government plan when it comes to having those Social Security benefits. And you don't want to only rely on Social Security during your retirement plan. Social Security wasn't anything that we were actually supposed to live off of. It was just supposed to be something that'll just keep us right to where we need to be to not be on the streets. Um, I'm not going to go too deep into Social Security because, baby, that's a whole, that could be a whole nother live. But again, if you are interested in a cash value policy, retirement planning, or just learning about your different options, different strategies, how you can implement them, how your budget works, how can you fit it into your budget, go ahead and send me a DM. I will be gladly to help you all set up that appointment and get started. Again, it could be you, it could be your partner, it could be your friend on there, baby. You can have a whole family reunion and I'll come and I'll explain cash value. And I'll explain these different policies to your whole family at the family reunion, right? If you all do have any questions, again, go ahead and slide in my DM. Y'all can Google me, LC Financial Solutions. All of my information will pop up. Thank you all for joining me on this Tuesday evening. I don't know, it's Taco Tuesday. I don't know if y'all had tacos or not. I'm eating healthy, so I didn't have no tacos. But if y'all did, baby, take an extra bite for you, girl. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all have a wonderful night. And I will see you all tomorrow for day 10. Thank you all for joining. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And again, if you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to slide in that DM. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Have a great night.